So with new site 2, we're going to be adding to it. So new site 1, we're just kind of rendering components. Where new site 2, we're actually going to do some routing. So in the URL, depending on what URL you visit, will vary the component that is rendered. So if I go to like one URL, it's going to render one component. If I go to another URL, it's going to render another component. And also, we're going to be adding some styling with using React Strap, which is a React library. Also, React Bootstrap is also a React library. They're very similar, but we'll get into it once we actually get to that part of the challenge. So new site, this is a challenge that builds upon the previous day's challenge. So if you completed yesterday's challenge, definitely bring in new site 1 into your new site 2. Otherwise, new site 2 has the finished, essentially the finished new site 1 challenge in it. So you can always use the boilerplate in here or utilize your code and bring it into new site 2's challenge, just so you know that what your code does and you're not working off of some brand new code that you might not kind of know what's going on. So, and this is new site part 2 of 6. So we're just going to keep on building upon it and just keep on expanding on the new site challenge. So let's go ahead. I'm going to fork this over to my personal GitHub, and then I'm going to clone it down. So, all right, Tom Preet, new site 2. I'm going to clone this down. Let's open up new site. There we go. So I'm in Oscar challenges. I'm going to git clone new site 2. All right. List everything out. So I've got new site 1. That other one there is just because I had 2 new sites for the 2 new site 1s in my GitHub. And then here's new site 2. So let's go ahead and kind of read through. So your choice for this challenge, we provided the solutions to new site 1 in the starting code inside the source directory up in here. It is up to you whether you would like to use your own code or the code that is included in this directory. So we can copy over the components, data, pages, directories from the source directly into our new React project. If you would like to use your own code from new site 1, replace the following files in the components directory: the articles component, the articles teaser component, and the app.nav component. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my new site 1 challenge, which is right here, and copy over. Where's my new site? So here's my new site 1, new site 1, new site 2. Yeah, I'm going to copy over the components from there. But first, what I'm going to do is new site, was it 2? I'll list everything out. I'm going to go ahead and create a brand new React app by doing npx create React app and call it news site 2.
I'm a little confused about how you go back to yesterday and find your class components. I'm not going to do it. I'm confused about it.
If you did it the way that the class instructed you to, where you have like your main branches, your class stuff, and then you have a functional branch for functions, you just git check out your main, and then it should update all of your files back to your class forms, and then you can cut and paste.
Yep. So yeah, if you created 2 separate branches, as Jack said, one with your class-based components and one with your functional-based components, you can just check out your class-based components branch and just copy that over. All right, it's going to take a minute or so to install. And then I just got to remember to copy over my article.js, article teaser, and app.nav. So if I look over here, here's my new site 1, components, app.nav, article teaser, and article.js. All right. So here's my new site 2, my source directory. So what I'm going to do is, should look at in here, components. All right. The first thing I'm going to do is here's that source directory. Wait, what the hell? Oh yeah, new site 2, source directory. I'm going to copy over the components right there. I'm going to also copy over the pages. There we go. All right. And now inside my components, app.nav and new site 2, I'm going to copy over my components app.nav. I'm just going to really copy this whole thing over. So this is new site 2. That's what I want to copy over. Great. There's new site 2. I'm going to close that, open up article.js, come up to my new site 1, open up article.js, open that, copy that over to my, scroll down to my article.js and my new site 2. There we go. And then article teaser, or I'm sorry, article list. Wait, is it the article teaser or article list? Let's go back. Article teaser. So new site. Oh, someone unmuted. Steve.
Hey, Tom.
Yep.
We're essentially just copying the, I guess, the source folder to the one we just created. Is that correct?
Not the source folder. So if you look in the directions, copy over the components, data, and pages directory from the repo to the source directory in your new React project.
Why don't you just delete those 3 folders in the new project and drag them from the old project?
You could do that. Definitely could do that. But I'm just going to copy over just because that's just kind of what I'm going to do. So article teaser. There we go. And then also copy over the app.js to the new site 2. All right. Is this new site 1? So app.js and new site 1. I'm going to copy that over to new site 2, like so. All right, let's close new site 1 out. Great. Clear. And now let's just go ahead. All right, later we're also going to be doing some styling so we can install this stuff. Let's just make sure everything is working correctly. So I've got my new site 2, list everything out, and now I'm going to npm start. And this is just to make sure that my new site 2 is essentially still working. It's essentially going to look like new site 1. If it's not, I'll fix any errors. Uh-oh. All right, nav items and JSON. All right, did I not copy over nav items.json? All right, so if I'm coming over here, all right, looks like I did not copy over the data that's in the source. All right. Let's do that. Let's run that again. I'm going to open up my console just to get used to that. All right, cool. Everything seems to be working. All right. So this is what your new site 1 should look like. And I've got this app, or I've got this on click showing this stuff. All right. So let's go to new site 2 again. So later today we'll be adding some styling. There are many libraries out there, but for this challenge, we're going to either be using React Strap or React Bootstrap. They're pretty much exactly same. They do the same thing. So remember in Bootstrap where you'd have classes, and based off of what class name you have, it depends on the styling. Well, React Bootstrap provides styled components. So it looks like a component, and depending on that component, it will render like whatever that styling looks like. So if I type in React Bootstrap, React Bootstrap is actually the official Bootstrap React library, but React Strap pretty much does the same thing. So it's up to you what you want to use. So for example, remember Bootstrap, they had different like where's like a card. They had different card examples where React Bootstrap, it uses a component that renders this instead of just a class name. So React Bootstrap uses components for styling instead of just class names.
That must have taken them a long time to refactor.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it makes our lives a lot easier.
It's only a lot of work if you do it.
Yep. So in this example, go ahead.
Which of these will you be using?
I'll be using React Bootstrap, just because I know it's the official, but React Strap might be actually a little easier to use.
I think the easiest is the one that we watch you do.
Yeah, but like it's really the same. Like it's pretty much identical to each other. So there's not a whole lot of the learning curve one or the other. It's pretty much the same. All right, so I'm going to be using React Bootstrap. So I'm going to go npm install that. So I'm going to exit out of my server and do npm install React Strap. And I also need to install Bootstrap. So if I come over here and look at my package.json file in my new site too, I've got React, React DOM, React scripts, and then hopefully I'll also have Bootstrap and React Strap installed as well. And if you want to look at the documentation for getting started, I guess you could have installed React Bootstrap at next and React Bootstrap at 5.0.2. I think this is just saying like what version of Bootstrap you want to install, and maybe like I don't know what the at next means.
So did you say they were in the JSON package?
They will be once I install them. So as they're installing, you'll see them come up in here.
Okay, and I heard you say you're going to install React Strap, but then you said you were going to be using React Bootstrap.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to be installing React Bootstrap and using React Bootstrap. Yeah, React Bootstrap's like the official Bootstrap to React library. All right. So if you look down here, you can also install some scripts, but the one other thing we need to do is the following line can be included in your source.index.js file or your app.js file. So we need to import, remember when we just installed Bootstrap via the CDN in just raw HTML, we'd have to add like this link tag that like minified Bootstrap CSS. The equivalent is we have to import this into our React app. So notice here, it's all done installing. And now I have React Bootstrap right here and Bootstrap installed in our package.json file. And now inside of our index.js at the very top, I'm going to import this Bootstrap CSS link. And that's all I need to do for right now. And let's just make sure everything is still working. Let's go ahead and clear the terminal and npm start. And it probably won't change anything. It might just change Yeah, okay, just changed a little bit of the font. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna open this up into a new VS Code window. Just so I have it, it's easier to navigate. And now I'm gonna npm start. Again, why is that? All right. So what is this? At the moment, the A tag links in your article teaser component appends a hashtag to the URL when clicked. This can cause a problem when handle routing. URL change later. Changes later today. Let's modify the on-click event handler to alleviate this, changing on-click to on-click event prevent default. Let's just look and see what that actually does. Let's come over here. So it says in our article teaser, pages, components, article teaser. Is it this handle on click? Is that what they're talking about? This props handle title click. I don't think that's what it is. Actually, I'm going to skip this part for right now. Maybe it's because I didn't have an href on there. Let's do that. Let's just see what happens when I click that on the article teaser. It still shouldn't matter. So it's not doing any refresh. I'm just going to leave it as is for now. And if it does present a problem in the future, we'll go ahead and fix it. So the first thing, we have a new component today that's been stubbed out, the article list component. Instead of showing a random article, we want our home page to show a list of article teasers. Our mission is to handle the props that are being passed in appropriately and create the content that the component should render. So the props for article list should show articles, which is an array of article objects, and a handle title click function. So the components will receive an array of articles. All right, the article list should receive an array of articles. That's the article list component. All right. If you want a refresher, all right, let's take a look at. So the article list component should receive an array of articles, map over the array, and create an array of article teasers. When you map over the articles array, it should use arrow functions. Take a look at your article teaser component that requires, okay. So we have an article teaser, which is doing that. And we have the article list component, which we haven't done anything with. So the article list component should receive an array of articles. Is that correct?
That's what it says.
All right. So it's already importing the article teaser for us. That's great. I'm going to open up my app.js and I'm just going to try to get the article teaser to render. So we have an article teaser right here, but in place of the article teaser component, I'm going to say article list component, and I'm going to say article list. And I don't know, whoop, we're going to need to pass in some props. I'll fix that once we get there. But article list, let's go ahead and import that at the very top. I'm going to delete the article teaser. So I'm going to import article list from components article list. And down here, I'm just going to say article list.
Are you just changing the name because you don't like it, or what?
No.
To help test it out.
So I'm importing article list. I'm not using article teasers anymore. So if we look over here, we have an article teaser, article, and app.nav.
I get it.
Okay. So I'm just trying to get this to render correctly. So article list component, here it is. Great. So the article list component should receive an articles array, which is an array of article objects. All right. So articles equals, let's go up here. So here's this news data. So I'm just going to look at this news data. And so I guess I'm just going to be importing a list of articles, and these are all the articles that I'm going to be importing. So down here, the list of articles, I'm going to just do news because that's the list of articles. And what was the other one? A handle title click function. All right. Let's go ahead and handle title click. Don't know what that's going to do quite yet, but you know, I'm just going to do, I guess, console log. What should this take in? Just console log title handle title click. All right. So the article list should receive an array of articles. Great. Let's just make sure that this is in fact console log receiving an array of articles and this handle title click function. So I'm coming over here, I'm refreshing that. I've got my article list component. I've got my array of articles and my handle title click. Now, let's read through it. So we're going to map over all the articles and create an array of article teasers. When you map over the articles array, it should use arrow functions. Take a look at the article teaser. Okay. And the article teaser will receive a ID, title, created at, and handle title click function. So I'm going to come over here and look at my article teasers. And it looks like, what the hell is that? Created date? That's not right. So it receives the ID. I'm just going to delete that. The ID, title, created date, and handle title click. All right. So in this function, or in this article list, I need to create a function called, let's just call it get all teasers. That takes in, can it take in? So it might take in a list of articles, and it's going to return articles.map, and it's going to take in an article, an ID or the index, IDX, and it's going to return. What should it return? It's supposed to return a list of article teasers. So I'm just going to have it return an article teaser. And the props of this is the article. So it's, I think it said use the spread operator. Let's see if this works. This might not work, but we'll figure out if it doesn't work. So down here, I'm going to render the this.get all teasers, and I need to pass in all the articles. And in order to do so, I can do this.props.articles. All right. And what else do I need to pass in?
The ID maybe?
So I've got the articles. The ID, I might need to use the key because it's going to be in a list of article teasers. Let's just run this, and if it doesn't work, we'll figure it out. Oh, wait, does that work? Okay, it works. Oh, crap. All right, handle title click is not a function. Look, I'm inside the article teaser. Right here is where handle title click. That's right, because I need to pass in the handle title click. So in my article teaser, so I guess in my article list, I'm going to pass in handle title click equals this dot props dot handle title click. And yeah, I think that's good. See if this works now. Do a hard refresh. All right, here are all of my article teasers. Handle, title, click. Great. But it looks like the handle, title, click. I'm passing in the ID here. So is there maybe like, should I pass in something to, maybe I want to console log the ID here. So I've got the ID. So let's go back to app.js for this console log handle title click. I'm going to pass in an ID and console log article ID. See if this works. Maybe I don't even need that. Let's see if this works. ID is not defined. We'll figure this out if it throws. All right, yeah, ID is not defined. I'm going to refresh that. ID is still undefined. Does anybody kind of know how I can extract the ID from the article handle title click?
I kind of have an idea, but it may be wrong. I mean, once you have to access it with like a this.
Let's see. Let's go back to my code. Article teaser. So I've got the ID and I'm extracting that from the props. Maybe do I do that? There we go. We have an ID. So that's the event. You can now use the index of article arrays to act as the IDs. Okay. Let's take a look at article teasers. Article teaser, handle props. Article page. Maybe. Article teaser. Nav values. We'll come back to that and fix that as we build out our routes. So we have the ID, handle console log. So the handle title click is an anonymous function that takes in a console log, pass that to this part. And yeah, we'll figure that out. But it's not breaking anything right now. All right. So next, let's go ahead and build out our routes. So up until this point, we've just been rendering components on the screen. It's all going to, it's just right here, it's everything's on one page. But if I want to go to like slash, articles or article slash like 1, maybe, or 4, maybe I want it to display article 4. So there's a library called React Router that allows us to create routes in our React app that essentially, when you go to a specific route, it renders a specific component. So in order to set this up, we can install React Router DOM. That's the name of the package. So I'm going to come over here and kill the server, clear the terminal, and run npm install. What is it? npm install React Router DOM. You don't necessarily need to save, but we'll keep it as the -- save. And that's going to create our ability to create routes.
Is the I for?
That's a short for install. So you can just.
Oh, cool.
All right. Let's go to an npm start that again. Where'd it go? React Router. So we have a quick start. So npx React app, npm install React Router DOM. So there's a couple ways we can do this. We're going to be using the browser router and the route component. So built-in React Router DOM, they've got a bunch of built-in components. They also have hooks, but for this specific, just to get the routes to work, we're going to import browser router as router, and we're going to also import the route component. So inside of our app.js, we can go ahead and let's get rid of our article component. And let's also get rid of our article list component. All right, we'll want to keep our app.nav up there. I'm going to get rid of just these h1 tags just so everything is still working. So, okay, we just have our nav bar up top. Now, instead of our app.js, we need to import. Let's get rid of that because we're not using those anymore. Import browser router as router. And we're also going to import the route component from React Router DOM. All right. So in order to use the router or to create routes, you need to create a parent component called router, just like this. It's got, it's essentially, this is a parent component. And inside of our router, we're going to create a div because the router component can only have one child element inside of it. You can't have multiple child. You can't have multiple child elements like so. It's going to throw an error. So we've got our router, and inside of our router, we're going to utilize the route component. And let's take a look at what the route component does. Let's scroll down here. Hash link routes, redirect route. So here is the route component. So the route component, there's a couple ways we could render it. We can render it like so. So if you look at, this is an example, we have a router, we have a div, and now we can create a route component as well that goes to a specific path. that we want. And then we also can say what component do we want to render when we visit this route. So in this case, if the user goes to the exact path of just a / it's going to render the home component. This one doesn't have the exact keyword on it. That means if they go to news/ anything, it will always go to the news feed. So when in doubt, always use the exact path. And I'm going to refactor this a little bit. So if we go to the exact path and goes to just that / we can tell it what this route component can take in another property called component. And that component prop, we can pass in what component do we want to actually render here. So in this case, we have a couple of new pages that we want to render, which is maybe the home page. So let's render the home page component. And home page is currently undefined, so we're going to have to import home page from pages / home page. All right, so this router, we have the div, and then we have the route component that goes to the exact path of / and the component we want to render is the home page. So let's go ahead and open up the home page component and split the screen. So it looks like the home page component is already created for us. It's kind of nice. That already has the article list component that we kind of created over. And we also had this handle title click that we initially created, but they stubbed it out as so. So let's go ahead and render this. So if I come over here, go back to my React app, go to / nothing. Now I get a list of article lists, which in the article lists component renders a bunch of article teasers. So let's just quickly go through that again. So I imported browser as router. I'm just importing it and calling it router. I could just call it browser router. And I'm also importing the route component from React Router DOM. Down here, I'm creating a router parent component, and I'm got a single div because this router, if I had like another div and like an H1 tag and did something, it'll throw an error more likely than not. Oh, it didn't throw an error. All right. But I think if I had another route, guess it doesn't matter how many divs you have in there. Anyway.
So are you only able to put one route per div, or can you do multiple routes in a single div?
You can put multiple routes within a single div, which we'll show you. So I've got this route, I've got this exact path. So when a user visits this exact path, it's going to render the homepage component. And I'm coming over to the homepage component, which is already created for us. And the homepage component imports the article list component, as well as all the news from the news.json file. And all it does is return the article list component where we're passing in all an array of news articles as a property, as well as that handle title click. And that handle title click takes in an article ID. And right here, it just says to use React Router's history.push method, and which we'll get to. And so it renders the articles list component. Come up here, articles list component takes in a list of articles as props. And so I've got this article teasers that passes in a list of articles, which comes up here, get all teasers, pass in all the list of articles, maps through each article, and renders an article teaser component. Come over here and you can kind of see the article teaser component right here. That renders an href and the created date, etc. But I notice it's not rendering the created date here. Shouldn't it be rendering the created date? Let's see what's going on here. Console log, props, created date. Actually, just this dot props. So it looks like it's created underscore date. So created underscore date. There we go. There we go. We've got the date showing now. All right. So that's the first route. Let's go back to the app.js directory. And now when I want to go to, I'm going to go to article, I think articles/1/2, and I want it to display an individual article. So I can create another route with the exact path. But remember, I wanted to go to articles. But remember in Django routing when we had like a variable within the route, it would be like int underscore like colon, something ID, book underscore ID. Here, if it's going to be a number or a variable, we just use a colon and call it like article ID, like so.
So that could be like any variable, so you can just name that ID if you want it.
Correct. It can be called anything. And the component we want to render, let's look over here. We have our pages. Yep.
Whenever you're doing an article ID, is that dynamic too, just like in Django?
Yeah, so we can change this to whatever we want.
I meant say you want an article with the ID of 1 or article ID of 3. So it's dynamic in that way.
Yes. So anytime we do a colon followed by anything, this colon indicates that whatever follows is going to be dynamic and it's going to change. So in the component that we want to render in here is this article page component that's under the pages directory. So we'll do article page. And we're going to have to import that at the very top. Article page. All right. Let's see if it imported correctly. All right, great. Let's just do some cleanup first. Let's get rid of this article because that's from props. Are we using the state anymore? We'll leave it as is for right now. Looks like we're not using this article anymore. Looks like we're not using this anymore either. And it looks like we're not using this as well. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at, all right, failed to compile, source.pages.article page is not working. Let's go ahead and open up our article page. So we have an article page. So it looks like the way we're importing looks like how we're importing the article component. Let's see. And the source.news. So let's do data/news. And I think everything should be working now. All right. So there we have our article page component. All right, let's take a look. All right. It's great. So now let's actually kind of visit. So we got article page. All right. So we have our article pages component displaying when we do that. And we have our list of pages or list of article teasers displayed here. All right. So here, as mentioned above, actually, let's go ahead and take